New here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about fear and hurt imprison the heart. So I do these YouTube lives every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys can show your appreciation by either subscribing, hitting the like button, sharing it to your friends, or uh, sending a donation, whatever you guys like. But anyways, fear and hurt imprison the heart. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because I feel like a lot of times, as being human, you know what I mean, just being human, that we things that we can't go past or things that we seen as failures, we start to kind of internalize it, and we start to feel like, hey, maybe that is us, you know what I mean? And that becomes our identity. And once it becomes our identity, it's kind of hard to break past that, right? And here I am today. But hi, Shevlin, how are you? I'm here to tell you guys that because fear and hurt imprison the heart. Because hey, look, if you're stuck in fear, if you're fearful from moving forward, or you're hurt, you're less likely to be moving forward, right? So that is why it's very important to understand what is holding you back from becoming your fullest potential. You know what I mean? Um, and the recap episode today. Hi Tracy, how are you? And the recap episode today that I'm going to be talking about is women test men for congruence. Okay, so hear me out. The slide is on. She needs to know where she stands with you, and the woman, they will always test you. What's up, Jackie? I see you. Women will always test you on this, and the reason why, and I have, please don't. Hold on, that's my fault. Give me a second, guys. Don't demonetize me just yet. All right. She needs to know where she stands with you. Is because women, they're uncertain sometimes, right? And they test you because she needs to know, hey, you know what? Is this a guy that's going to, what's up, Kiki? I see you. Hello, hello. Welcome from all the way from the other side, you know? But yeah, women will always test you. Women, no matter what, they will always test you. It doesn't matter who you are, right? You could be the richest man in the world, you could be the brokest man in the world. You know what I mean? Your woman will always test you, and their tests will come from many directions. You're unaware of it. All you can do is be prepared for it, right? And here I am trying to prepare you guys, right? The best thing is, it's like the here's this, like the best thing to have a good lasting marriage is to know about marriages, right? To understand your relationship that you have with yourself, and understanding the other person, right? So understanding their love language. What is their love language? I feel like that is really important, right? So let's go back to how women test men for congruence, right? So a woman will always test you as a guy, right? She will always test a guy, right? This could be weeks, months, or even years, and she will bring up old stuff, right? These are just examples. She'll bring up old stuff. See, and this is to see whether or not she could throw you off center, right? And here's the thing: when I made the episode about how guys should not use their lady, their his love of his life, his therapist or his mommy, and the reason why I say that is because look, at the end of the day, she needs to know that can you provide for her, and are you mentally there? Because look, you could bring up some things that's bothering you, and I'm not saying that you can't bring up things that is truly bothering you, right? But at the end of the day, she needs to know that can you find a solution, or are you just going to bitch and moan about it all fucking day? I think that there goes my demonetization. Anyways, yeah, she's just gonna find out like, yo, are you just gonna sit here and complain all the time, or are you actually going to do something about it? It's like, look, you don't have money. Okay, maybe work at a job in the meantime, right? She'll stick with you. Find a minimum wage job in the meantime. At least you have income, you know what I mean? And then work towards who you want to become, right? So, now whether so her test, whether it's intentional or subconscious, most of the time it's subconscious, right? She's testing to see where you're at mentally, right? And where you are at currently, mentally, and where you're at currently. Because here's the thing. She has a lot to lose. Think about it. If she has a kid with you, right? Biologically, if she has a kid with you, she's going to be the one that's going to nurture the kid most of the time. Most of the time. Because women, they're more nurturing, right? Jackie, you said so. I can talk about my issues, but have a plan and a mission is okay. I don't have to be like 100% no problem. Wait, I don't have to be like 100% no problem man, right? And of course, don't complain a lot. Yeah. So here, yeah. So perfect question. I'm glad you asked that, Jackie. So the thing is, it's you don't want to. You could bring up certain things. Like here's an example, right? Like, I was at. If she asked you how was at work, how was your day at work, you'd be like, it could be better. I had a little blah 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 something. Someone came in, gave me a hard time. And for some reason, most of the time it doesn't bother me, but this time it kind of did. And I don't know how I feel about it, but you know what? I'm going to, you know, I'm just gonna sit down, maybe like grab something to eat, think about it a little bit. If I'm a little quiet, it's not about you. Just I'm just trying to figure some things out, but I'll be okay. How was your day? Right? You see where it's like it bothered me, but it's not consuming me, but I still need some time to think about it to find a solution. But it's not about me. How about you? You see that? And that's where that's where it flourishes. Relationship flourishes when you're there to give to the other person, right? That's what a loving relationship is. Love is an act, right? Love is allowing, right? You're not trying to trap that person. So that's where love flourishes. That's where the other person could be like, wow, okay. And 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 here's the thing too, Jackie. If she has some problem, you must be a nasty guy. You got to listen to her. What's up, Purple? I see you. But yeah, so you gotta listen to her, and here's why. When a woman now, when I say this, when a woman feels heard and understood, right, the legs open. If she doesn't, the legs close. All right, and I'm talking about that in terms of yes, sex, but for real, like if she doesn't feel heard and understood, she's not going to want to be with you. You know what I mean? And if she does have that what we call pity sex, then she's not really there with you. You know what I mean? So I had another episode on that too as well. When your woman's not wet. All right. So you guys could go check that out over there if you're so inclined, right? If you're so interested. Let's see. Kiki, absolutely. Thank you, Kiki. And Kiki, if you ever hear me use that name, that's my go-to name that I use, right? That's the lady, right? So it's funny how you popped up. It's like meant to be. It's meant to be. All right. So she would judge you by your actions. Okay, let's go back to the slides. She would judge you by your actions, and are you bothered by it? Right? She's going to judge your approach, and are you going to be diminished by her words, by the things she says to you? So, here's an example. When when your woman says something to you, right? Now, love is playful and fun, right? Love is playful and fun. So when you're not playful and fun and you take it too serious, what do men do? They like to logic and reason, right? You ever notice we like to fix shit? So when we logic and reason, you're literally turning her off, right? You're not having fun. You're not keeping it playful. You're not being like that James Bond kind of guy, right? And so it pushes her away, and she's kind of like, damn, I just want to have fun. Like in reality, women, they just want to look nice and be pretty and, go out with you and let the guy take the lead. And if you can't take the lead, little things like, I don't know where I want to eat. Why don't you pick it, babe? And so you put it on her, but you're really thinking like, oh, I just really want her to eat something that she wants. And absolutely, right? If you don't know, ask her what she likes to eat, and then pick according to whatever she wants. If she wants Asian food, then you'd be like, what kind of Asian food do you like? If she be like Japanese, then you should have like 3 Japanese spots in your head. And if you don't, there's always Yelp. You know what I mean? Brittany or Purple. So I'm hurt after all, and I feel dumb, and even trying to ask how he feels about me. And I called his friends, which he had no title, and he went off on me and he said, don't talk to him anymore. I got a little confused. Maybe it was me reading it. So basically his friends told you to just leave him alone. I think that's what I got. But if you don't mind retyping some of that, maybe that'll help me. But moving on. So with women, when a woman feels safe and certain with a man, she will feel safe to open up. That's the thing. When she feels safe to open up to you, then you're in the green. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if the woman already has a high interest in you, all you gotta do is walk through those doors. Set up a date. Hey, are you free next week? What's your availability like next week? Right? Make some time. Set a definite date. Hang out, have fun, and then hook up. So shout out to my coach, Coach Corey Wayne. What's up? Mitchell went on a date, was keeping it playful, and was relaxed, not over the top. Got close, and even put my arms around. She was so uptight, not even worth my time. Yeah, and yeah, so here's the thing, you should when you're at the date, you should always be gauging her level of interest, right? So you want someone that's willing to jump fences for you, not stay on the fence, right? So it's like you want someone that's easygoing, easy to get along with, right? Not someone that's kind of mediocre and I gotta do so much work. And so here's the thing, I love feminine women. That's what I love. I don't want a very alpha type of woman. The reason why is because when you get a very alpha type of woman, even though she eventually becomes feminine with you, right? The difficulty is it's like you always feel like you got to warm up the car right before you got to drive it. You know what I mean? It's like then you kind of like you're not sure if the car is going to move, right? So you're not really sure if she's going to be all right. And then you got to go through all these hoops just so that you could get her to open up like mentally, you know what I mean? And it's like, do you really want to be in a relationship where you constantly gotta be trying to open her up, you know what I mean? And it's like, don't you want a relationship should be easy going, easy to get along with. And it's not something, and relationships are not I'm not saying that relationships are easy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the approach with that person, like, meaning relationship is difficult because there's some things that you're going to disagree on, and when you disagree on something, then you find a solution. That's where having communication, that's why for me communication is high up on the list. Communications, loyalty, right? Having integrity, saying what you mean, meaning what you say, right? And I can't have that, or I can't expect that from her if I don't have it. So that's why I was like, you always have to have a good relationship or better relationship with yourself before you try to attract somebody else in your life. Otherwise, it's not gonna last. No, I called him friend. Oh, okay. So and he got mad and he told me to leave him alone. Like, what was I supposed to do if we are not dating and just fighting out? Oh no, absolutely not. He just he got insecure, right? Like, it's like, look, as long as you guys are hanging out and having fun, why does a title matter? It doesn't matter. And if she likes you enough, she will open up to you. So what it tells me is that he wanted something else and he didn't get it and then his ego got hurt. His ego got hurt because you called him a friend. He's like, what? I spent all this money. I tried to do all this and, taking out onto dates, spending a lot of time, investment, and this is what you give back to me. And so he got butthurt. But in reality, what you're telling me is that he tried to lock you down into a relationship and you just not feeling it right away, right? And look, to be real, Brittany or Purple, your feelings towards him it diminished. It went lower. So he probably was at like a 6, 7, and then it went down to maybe a 5, right? Or even a 4. So if your level is at a 5, there might be a chance for him. But if it's a 5 and below, chances are you're not going to even give him a second chance. So, but look, you could always bottom line someone's action, all right? So, Brittany, Purple, what I would suggest is that if you're already seeing those type of signs and he's getting mad and upset and he's like, don't talk to me, that tells me that that's somebody that's not willing to communicate. Is that someone that you really want to be in a relationship with? Someone that doesn't know how to communicate, that stonewalls you because he's upset. Okay, so I want you to think about that. But let's move on to the meat of the topic. All right, I know y'all vegetarians out there. All right, so resentment, bitterness, and revenge. All right, holding on to bitterness, resentment, and seeking revenge clouds your mental factory, right? And that's something that I was talking about, which is be careful what you pour into your mental factory, right? So be careful how you start your day in the morning, right? Because what you pour in, that's what you're going to consume, and that's what's going to take up a lot of mental bandwidth, if you will, right? So be careful what you hold in there. And so if you're holding a lot of bitterness, resentment, and you're constantly trying to seek revenge, where does that put you as a person? Okay. And so be careful what you pour into your mental factory, because that's what's going to be coming out of you, right? People project how they feel on the outside to how they genuinely feel about themselves on the inside. So when you see someone that's constantly yelling and screaming, and they're angry all the time, and we also know that behind anger is fear, that that's how they view life. It's like, look, if I don't get my way, I'm just going to yell and scream. Where does that really, like that? To me, that's a lot of anxiety. Like, I just want to be chill. I want to live a life with the people I'm around that's drama free. I don't want to create drama. I want us to look at what we can do in the future, and not only having fun with it, but enjoying the process. And even though we have stumbling blocks, how can we move past that? That's the life that I want. I don't want someone that complains every single time they hit a wall, or there's a little rock on the road, and it, stops their path. You know what I mean? I'm talking about people that complains about every little thing that happens. It's like, well, if you're looking for bad things to happen, obviously it's gonna happen. If I be like, go outside and look at and point out any car that is red, and that's what your focus is on, well, guess what? That's what you're gonna focus on. So if your primary thing is to focus on things bad things happening, then chances are you're going to find it. And when you find it, you're not going to be happy. And then you're going to justify it by saying, look, that is true. See, I told you shit always happening. Of course, you're always trying to find bad shit happening, right? So, but now, on the flip side of the coin, let's just say you're around someone that always sees the good in things, right? Guess what? That shit rubs off on you. And the reason why I could say yes to that is because I was that type of person that always constantly saw the cup half empty, you know what I mean, instead of the cup half full. So I was around my friends, and one of my friend, and it's not a lot of them, but one of my friends, he was like, yo, Mitchell, like, it's really in the past, like, you keep bringing it up, like, what's going on, like, are you okay, like, what's happening? And I was like, I don't know, man. He was like, yeah, dude, just learn. He said, just let that shit go. Now I get he's trying to help me, but there's a process on letting things go, but he doesn't know it, and he wasn't an expert or a coach, if you will, on it. But I took his words, and I was like, yeah, you know what, like, it doesn't serve me any good. What'd you say, Kiki? True. If you expect negativity, you will get it. Absolutely. So yeah, that's what they saw, and that's what they get. And so eventually I snap out of it. I was like, look, and I started educating myself, and I was like, you gotta start seeing things better. You gotta start seeing life as a collaborative process versus a competitive process, right? A lot of people, they go into parties or whatever, they're very competitive. I love to go to parties welcoming. Yo, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Cheers, whatever. Let's have a great time, right? Tell me your name later. All right, I'm gonna stop by, right? Or whatever, have some fun. And that takes a lot of courage, because, hey, chances are I might get shot down, but guess what? It's okay, because they're not gonna remember me at the end of the party anyways, or they're gonna forget about me on the ride back home, So, or they might remember. We never know, right? But people will always remember how you made them feel, right? So learn to give a lasting impression, because the last impression is usually the lasting impression. All right. So, anyways, tangent off. Mental space, mental clarity. Yeah, clear out your mental space a little bit. Be careful really what you pour in, right? So when you wake up in the morning, really be conscious of what are you looking at? Are the things that you're looking at, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, maybe it's the news or whatever, is it invoking, is that even a word? Is it provoking a lot of like anxiety in your body, right? Does it make you feel more anxious, or are you looking at things? That's why, like, starting your day and having a journal and writing down things that you are grateful for, there's a reason for that. The reason is because then you're lining yourself up to a day, because if you start your day bad, chances are everything's gonna start out bad, right? Now imagine waking up and just having straight McDonald's and be like, well, I gotta go to the gym. Chances are you'd be like, oh, this McDonald's, yeah, what's the point of the gym? I already had McDonald's, right? And so start your day well. So journal a little bit, maybe meditate, reflect on things that is good that's happened to you, for you, right? Instead of things happening to you all the time. Like, the I'm poor because the government's like this. I don't have a job because of COVID. Like, that's bullshit. Like, there's plenty of places that's hiring people. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a way. It's just that most people rather find excuses, because us as humans, we do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So when we constantly looking for to avoid things, then we're not going to really be disciplined on the things that we need to do, right? So clear out that mental, like, really be careful how you start your day. That's what I'm saying, right? So start by playing, and most people, they start playing things in their head, right? They start by playing these stories of how unfair it was, right? And the situation that they were in. And you may start to analyze all these little tiny things that you didn't like about that person, and you start be like, well, these are all this person's flaws. It's like, well, you still love this person, or you were still really attracted. Like, something happened and you're unwilling to let that go. That's why fear and hurt, in this case, hurt is imprisoning your heart. You're unwilling to let go because you're stuck in the past. And then you start ruminating on these things, on offensive things, right? And it starts to snowball in. It starts getting bigger and bigger, right? And then eventually you start to put all the blame on that person, and then you stop, and you never point the blame at yourself, because it's way easier to absolve yourself from responsibilities and accountability. That, hey, maybe you were a person that were the catalyst to why that person treated you like shit. And I get it. I'm not saying that that person, like, here's an example, like, that person should have never put their hand on you, but what did you do? You know what I mean? It's like, what did you do? I'm not saying that they're right. I'm just saying, like, what did you do to encourage that? Now, if that person was going to put their hands on you, eventually they're going to do that. Same thing as a person that's going to cheat on you. They're going to cheat on you regardless, right? Now, then we have to understand, like, maybe there were some red flags that we overlooked, right? Because if and here's the thing too, where most people, they tend to project their fantasy onto somebody rather than looking at reality as it is, because love, if you will, blinds us. It's kind of like, well, I really care about this person, but I know this person's bad for me, but I still love them. Okay? Then it's like, well, there's an approach for that, right? How do you approach that? I was like that for a few years, and I began to live a life of gratitude and started choosing happiness. It changed a lot for me. That's great, Kiki. That's great. And I'm glad. I'm glad you stopped by. Got you here too. So yeah, it's totally different from my other place, right? So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you're working on yourself too, because not a lot of people is willing to work on themselves. You know what I mean? You are what you think about. Okay, you are what you think about. And if you can't already tell, this is all I think about. I love thinking about this. I really do. I really do. But anyways, you become a prisoner of your own mind, unable to let go, and overwhelmed with emotions. What's up, Greg? I see you. Soon you'll find yourself constantly talking about it like a dog chasing its tails. You're never really getting anywhere, right? So there's three influences that I talked about in life, which is the one influence, which is one that keeps you in the past, right? You always talk about the past. Maybe some people, like, their highlight was in high school. You know what I mean? And for me, high school was a long time ago. And that's all they talk about, right? They stuck in the past, or they stuck in the past of, like, maybe that person did me wrong, and they're stuck in the past. Or there's another influence. So second influence, excuse me, second influence, which is one that distracts you. Now, in life as it is, it's easy to be distracted. Come on, think about it. There's music, there's apps, there's your phone. I mean, there's smartwatches. Like, I never got an Apple Watch. I don't really care about my heart rate. I've never thought about my heart rate. Like, when was the last time you really needed to know what your heart rate was? If anything, if you're a healthy person, then you should be kind of cool, right? So, and here, that's the reason why it's like, you don't really need. So I highly suggest you guys, if you guys don't use certain apps. Start deleting some apps, okay? Or if you really want to keep them, turn off some notifications. It's not gonna kill you. You know what I mean? And if it's really important, they will find you some way. You know what I mean? And so, with that said, like while you turn off, because those are distractions, right? So one, we keep in the past. That's one influence. The second one is we're stuck with distractions. We're constantly being distracted. So the one that pulls you to the side, one that pulls you behind, pulls you to the side, and one that pulls you forward. And this is the one that we most people they don't lean on because they're not emotionally compelled to want to do certain things that they want to do that fulfills them. Like this, what I do right here with you guys, this fulfills me to know that, hey, you know what, I got out of a really bad relationship because I knew that person wasn't good in my life, and I didn't have the courage to do that. But after hearing from you, Mitchell, or whatever, after you giving me a lot of advice or whatever, it gave me the opportunity, the courage to step forward and be like, this is not the relationship that I deserve because I've been constantly working on myself. And if you're here and you're watching this, chances are you're working on yourself and you're doing a lot more things than what most people would be doing. Like, I don't know, eating ice cream, watching Netflix, focusing on like, hey, I can't wait till it's Friday so that I could party. It's like, there's more days than to live for a Friday night. You know what I mean? Like, you should be living every day. And that's how I choose to live. Because when I choose my path and the way I want to live, then chances are most people, right, that wants to discourage me, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to discourage me from, Mitchell, you shouldn't do this. Like, you don't know me at all, obviously, right? Who's working on themselves? Raise your hand. Press one if you're working on yourself. See, start small. Have you ever read The Secret? The Secret? Okay, wait, hold on. Let's see. Where I really should learn from people like you. It's definitely real hard for me to stay positive about things when bad things keep happening to me. Right? And Tracy, I talked about that before too. It's like when you see things that's always constantly happening to you, instead of it being gifts for you, right? Like bad things that happen to you are actually, and you see it as things as happening for you, you get the opportunity to learn, even though it kind of sucks. Even though it kind of sucks a little bit, you get the opportunity to learn and 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 move forward with that. And that's where life, because life is, you're going to have problems every single day, no matter what. It could be big, it could be small. Can you find a solution, right? Can you find a solution? And it's like, I know after this, Mitchell, after this show, where the hell are your glasses, Mitchell? I don't know. Okay, I don't know, but I have to find it. All right, because one is those are not cheap glasses, but two, I need it because I am in front of a screen a lot, right? So I need to protect my eyes. Anyways, big or small, we all have problems, right? And then it's how you manage them. It's how you approach them. It's how you don't let those problems run your life. That's where the bigger picture is. Because think about it. If you really think about, you only got 10 days to live, are you really gonna care about like things that's just happening to you, all these little things? Like, you're not gonna even care about that, right? But then we don't know. We really, like, tomorrow's never promised. So it's like, you got to live each day as it's almost as if it is your last, right? But still work towards it, right? Like, hey, do things that's healthy for you, right? Eating healthier, going to the gym, sleeping a little bit more. And big tip, side note, the reason why my skin has been improving is because I've been sleeping earlier. So thank you sleep schedule, appreciate y'all. Yeah, so and eating better, and exercising normally, right? So yeah, back to my slides. You find yourself constantly talking about it like a dog chasing its tails. That's where I was at, not really getting anywhere and getting stuck in the past. And that will become your story, and this will become the story you tell yourself, to other people, and being stuck in the past. And if you're stuck there, guess what? I kind of know your future already. You're not gonna really move anywhere in life, and maybe you might have a little tiny breakthrough. And maybe, hey, you know what, if your focus is on, because here's the thing, I've known a lot of rich people that's stuck in the past. It doesn't mean they can't move forward and still have financial freedom, but they're miserable. I'm like, yo, why can't you learn to let some of these things go? And so here's the thing too. Money, just like money and having someone in your life, those things only amplify who you are. So here's an example. If you were an alcoholic and you were broke, Chad, and you just drinking like 40s, you know what I mean? Like, or just drinking a whole bunch of beer, right? Or cheap liquor. Then let's just say you become rich. Not on you're still an alcoholic. You might have different people around you, sure, but you're still an alcoholic, so you're just drinking more expensive shit. All right? There's no difference. So you're just a rich alcoholic that has some more responsibilities, okay? Because you just don't magically get rich unless you hit the lottery. Anyways, and here's number 2. Number 2 is, let's just say you're in a relationship, right? And you're miserable before you got into a relationship. Then use me as an example. I hate life, okay? Mitchell dislikes life a lot. Things always happen to me. I always find reasons to be upset. Somehow, some way, I charmed my way into this girl into going out with me. She likes who I am. She thinks I'm great because I'm putting up this front, this facade, and now she's like, "Wow, all right, so everything's great. Everything's great." 6 months down the line, I find things, I get a little comfortable, I get complacent, I stop dating and courting her, I don't listen to her anymore, right? And now I'm just like, I hate life because guess what? Someone pissed me off at work. And then this happened, and then that happened, and my car breaks down, and gas prices went up, and I'm not making as much money. And guess what? When life pressures me, what comes out, right? It's kind of like what came out was I'm not happy. So money and having someone in your life or being in a relationship, those are the two things that amplifies who you are as a person. So if you have money and you were a great person to begin with, money's not going to really change who you are. Money amplify who you are. It doesn't change you. Maybe it changes your some living circumstances, but it doesn't change you much as a person. It amplifies who you really are. And just like a relationship, it amplifies who you are. So if you're not having a good relationship with yourself, what makes you think you're going to have a good relationship with the next person? You know what I mean? The secret is about living a life with gratitude, changing your mindset to get what you want in life. Yeah, that's a great book. That sounds like a great book to read. Um, let's see. Moving on, which is a hatred does not serve you any good, and it's a gatekeeper for future relationships. So if you're hurt and you're fearful and you're hurt and you're imprisoning your heart, chances are if you're holding on to that and you try to go over to the next relationship, it's only gonna bleed out into that relationship. Next thing you know, you're gonna think that that person is gonna cheat on you. Oh, that person probably cheated on me. So you make up all these stories and you start believing it. You start believing in those, right? Without any facts, right? Oh, it's because they ate this. Oh, they stayed out late, whatever, right? And look, it's going to consume you. So that's why when people come to me, I'm not here trying to help you find the next person, the next love of your life. I'm trying to have you look at where you're at first. And most people don't like that because here's why. It's boring. It's boring. Why do I need to work on myself? Why can't I just have fun? Why can't I just attract somebody into my life? Because that's so much easier. Yeah. But guess what? It's not going to last. And when it doesn't last, you're going to come back. You'll be like, hey, Mitchell, it didn't work. You'll be like, yeah, I knew it didn't work because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You needed to work on yourself. But yet you just wanted to go into a relationship right away. Nah, work on yourself first. And then everything is naturally going to attract. That's what I'm saying, right? So, and you project how you are on the outside to how you genuinely feel about yourself on your inside. So, yeah, you might be able to fool that person into liking you, but it's attainable success. It's not going to be sustainable. Okay. So, be careful how you communicate with yourself. Be careful with the story that you tell yourself. Be careful with the language that you use with yourself. And so, ask yourself quality questions. You know, what are some things that I can work on? What are some things that I can do today that I can improve, right? If I gave you a pen and paper and a blank sheet of paper, you could write down a list of things that you could work on. And if you could write that down, guess what? You could organize it in a way where, you know what, I should put this as a priority. Let me put this as a priority. And it's easy. All you have to do is just one of those things and your life would be that much better. But why do we not do it? Because most of us, we do more to avoid pain, which is the pain of doing it, than to gain pleasure. The pleasure of, you know what, if I started working out for 6 months, I would be in a much better place than where I am at today, right? And that's why it's like Mitch, they'd be like, "Oh, Mitchell, don't you feel bad for people that can't move and stuff?" I was like, unless they were born with it or like an accident, then it's like they really brought it with themselves, right? But it's like, hey, look, there are ways to get out of that. But now you can't expect like 10 years of pain to go away magically. You know what I mean? Like, it takes time, right? Just like your relationship with yourself, it takes time. So start now. It's never too late. Trust me. Like, I felt like I started late, you know what I mean? And I'm still learning. I'm still learning. And here's my second one, which is pain becomes your identity. And this is where it will consume you, because when something becomes the story that you are telling yourself, and this is who you are, like shame, feeling guilty over something. Like, okay, the difference between shame and guilt is guilt is something that you did. That's your behavior. Something that you did. You stole something, but you feel bad, right? Oh shit, I shouldn't have stole. That's a behavior, right? You stole something. Shame is something that you apply it to yourself. Like, I am a bad person because I stole. And then that starts to eat you up inside out. And then, yeah, like I said, it starts bleeding into other areas of your life, right? Your work, you can't think anymore, right? In your relationships, people you're around, right? You start becoming a little bit, like, I don't know, groggy. I don't know, like, it's not a good sign, right? So pain becomes your identity, especially if you're in fear and you're always in hurt. You start to internalize this, and this is where it becomes kind of dangerous. And so I want to point this out for y'all, which is, no matter how much you try to stay away from it, right? It feels like life is always going against you. That's what it feels like. And it's like, that's the story you tell yourself. And when good moments doesn't even seem to last, and the problems that comes up becomes magnified. So like, you're looking at problems, you're like, damn, it's so bad now. It's so bad. I knew it. See, right? You're going. That's the cycle, and you become the prisoner of your own mind. This may affect your judgment, it the way you approach things, and how you start to perceive yourself. And it becomes this kind of downward spiral, and things that normally wouldn't get to you now easily gets under your skin. And that's a good audit. It's like, normally I wouldn't get upset over certain things, but now I get upset over the tiniest things. That means that you need to put your life in order a little bit. You need it. So hey, maybe you need to clean up your room before you try to change the world. You know what I mean? Like, start small. Start by the things that you need to do, that you do every day. Things that are very trivial, like brushing your teeth, right? If you brush your teeth every day, don't you think you should learn how to brush your teeth for more than 25 seconds or 10? Because I've seen people brush your teeth. I was like, that's just because you got that toothpaste all over your teeth, it doesn't mean you cleaned it. It means you glossed over it. You know what I mean? Like, having soap on you doesn't mean your skin is clean. You still gotta scrub some shit off, right? I don't know why I was getting with that, but you guys know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Okay, so at first it spreads through you, and then it start affecting those who are around you. And you are what you attract. Like attracts like. So, and life fills voids. So whatever you feel like you're missing, that's what you're gonna go after. You know what I mean? And it fills that. So if my void, if I need to fill this type of void in my life, right? I want to ask myself, who is the type of person that I want to become? Because if I become this person, like this person that, okay, what are my values? What are something that I truly believe in, right? Loyalty, right? Commitment, having integrity, saying what you mean and meaning what you say. And if I could possess that, that means that I expect none less from the next person to come into my life. So that's what I want. So I have to become that first. So then I start creating the space for that person to come in to my to my heart, if you will. You know what I mean? And it's because I will not settle for less than that. I won't, because I know how much I need to work to get into that place to know what I want. So that's why you should, as a person, you should really know your goals and you should know your values. Because if you have values, those are the things that's going to help you guide through your life. That's you, that's your character, right? And what my coach says is, your character is destiny. So if your character is to place high value onto these things, and there's certain things that you will not do, like maybe you have friends that encourages other people to cheat on their spouse, but you're like, you know what, that's not what I want to do. So if you guys are constantly doing that, or you constantly trying to have me go against that, then you know what, don't have me around, right? And that's where integrity steps in. It's like, because it's not easy to leave your group of friends because you're comfortable with them, but at the same time, that's your integrity. That's like, look, that's not what I do. So to have that type, and those are your values, and if you live through your life with those, according to those values, your life will be you'll be in a much better place. Then you start attracting those type of people into your life, and those that do come in that don't align with those values, well, guess what, they're going to be kicked to the side. You're not going to even waste your time on it. So that's why it's so important to know your values, right? So that's why it's like, first it spreads through you, then it could spread to other people, right? So now, what when I mean spreading, right? What I mean by spreading to other people, it's not just negativity, right? I've known people that super kind, no matter what situation, they're always in optimistic. They're very optimistic, and it's like you can't help but to not want to be mad at them. And those who get past that and still get mad at them for being more optimistic, it really tells about who that person is, right? Someone that's still constantly yelling and screaming. And so it, it's like, who do you, so now if you know that there are these two people, these two type of people in this world, now I'm asking you, all right, people that's watching, who do you really want to align with? Do you rather align with someone that's great, that sees the great in things, right? That 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 takes risk, but encourages you to do things that usually is not. It's it's still good for you. You know that eating greens and vegetables is good for you, and you're constantly being around them. It's like, you know what? Yeah, give me those peas. Like, or broccoli or whatever. I don't always need that. I'm usually around friends that eat junk food, but here I am. I'm always near you. Yeah, give me some of that. Those start to rub off. And so what Jim Rohn said, and I think his teacher taught him this, but you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? So really, who are you surrounding yourself with? And let's just say those 5 people, if they're all bad, well, guess what? You're going to be alone for a long ass time, all right? And you got to be okay with that. So, and the great thing about it is you have the internet. You have the internet. You're not going to be as lonely, because you're going to find somebody that you're going to connect with, right? Maybe it's another coach, or maybe it's Mitchell Tang, right? Or it could be anybody, right? Or someone that you really like. I really look up to this person, and so I want to know more about. Pick the brains. Pick the brains. I used to be like that, but I've learned yelling and trying to get a point does not work, and I need to keep good energy around. Yeah. Um that's good. That's good. That's good, Purple. That's good, Purple. Um so you are what you're attracting, like attracts like. This putting a strain in your relationship. Others will be repulsed by you and your attitude. So, hey, be careful what you're putting out, right? So I encourage you to find a way to put yourself back together. That's what I like. Try to find a way to put yourself back together. Then, when you're finally comfortable to talk to other people, you'll be in a much better place, right? So, excuse me. Um, past few days, I would say I didn't have the best day. Okay. There was a time where this is, my personal story, um, where I was not in good mood. Mitchell was not in a good mood. So I stayed quiet. And the reason why I stayed quiet was because I knew that I was not going to be good company to other people. Okay? It means that if people talk to me, I was going to be irritated. I was going to be pissed off. And it's not their fault. It's because I had some shit that I had to deal with. You know what I mean? And so I had to remain silent. And it was not just protecting myself, but protecting others from myself, because I knew I wasn't gonna be good company to other people. It's okay, Jackie. But the thing is, it's like I knew I needed that, because if I were to be around people that, and then they got the lesser end of me, you know what I mean? And like I'm not since I'm not good company, they're gonna be like, oh, Mitchell's kind of like, I just want to have some fun, and it's like he's always like tearing some shit down, you know what I mean? And things like that happens, and when things like that happen, you need to know when to, keep quiet a little bit. And and for those who did reach out to me, I was like, hey, I'm just not in the best place right now, and I just need a little bit of time. I need to kind of like ruminate over some things, um and I have a solution. And those solution will take time. So that said, I need time. I need time, and I hope you understand that. And they totally did. And guess what? I'm in a much better place now. And so guess what? When we hung out, we were in a great place. You know what I mean? And we had fun, because I want to. And this is not saying like, oh, Mitchell's trying to be fake, and he's not showing him. It's like that's what I was dealing with. It's not. It should not be on them. I need to know how to handle that myself. And because I was mad, I was irritated, I was upset, I needed to know how to deal with that. That is self-reliance, right? That is when life doesn't go the way you want it, and life is asking more than what you can give, and you're like, this is overwhelming. Take a step back and really look at the people that's around you. Do you want to protect that? You want to make sure that they're okay, right? Because it's not on them. And so I'm glad I took that time off for myself, right? And so that's something that like I want to share with y'all, because like that's what happened to me. Um, let's see, how old my how old are you? So much knowledge. Happy to be here today. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 30s. Cousin Mitchell, I'm very self-sufficient since meeting. Oh, thank you. Back in 2016, yeah, Super Smash Brother tournament. But yeah, so but I wasn't even so much of that even when you met me, Greg, right? Like I didn't know almost I almost didn't know much about this, but I was always wanted to learn, right? And it wasn't until a time of desperation where I was like, yo, I'm hurt, I'm depressed, or something's eating me inside out every single morning. And now that came from a place of desperation. And now it's coming from a place of inspiration, because I got out of that, right? And so it's like having this mess become my message. And so that's why it's like, hey, if I could share something and it could help you guys out too, for you guys to be better people, guess what? Because I want better people around me. And that's what I love doing. And I know the world is full of mediocre, pissed off people that always blames another person. Guess what? Those people aren't for me, and that's okay. You know what? As long as they stay in their lane, I'm on my lane. We good. We cool, right? We're not hurting each other. We good, right? And so that's the life I want to live. Um, let's see. Okay, so let's get into some statistics, which is research has shown, right, that not forgiving other people, right, like holding grudges and stuff like that, is connected to high blood pressure, weakened immune system, reduced sleep, chronic pain, and cardiovascular problems. Um, and so we now we know it's like it's not just the food that we have that we put in our body. It's what we constantly thinking about, right? To hear Mitchell can be that down before and be this good now is really inspirational. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm no different than another person. I'm still a person. I still have feelings, right? I still feel things. And when things I'm not happy about, I'm not excited about it. And, it's, and like I said, when life is asking for more than what I can really give, it's like, okay, I really got to sit back. I got to be okay. And, it, other people should not feel what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Now, doesn't mean that I can't express it to people that I trust. No, I can't. But there's a time and place for everything. And, that's one thing that I learned from my my high school teacher. He said, Mitchell, there's always a time and place for everything. There's always a time and place. And right now, this is not the time. And I didn't know that. I didn't know what it really meant. And as I got older and older, and granted that, like, look, high school was like 20 years ago, right? Almost 20 years. Um 15, 16, I can't count. Long time. It's been a long time. And it's like it that speech, that one line that he said, it's still like kind of like growing to this day, right? Like there's always a time and place for things, right? So the time and place, like right now, it's not the time. Other people should not be in my presence, and they should be okay with that. And I need to be okay with that. Even though, trust me, I wanted to express how I felt. But people, and here's also another thing. I know that people don't really care about your problems as much. Even though they're super down to listen to you. I'm not saying that they are not down, but problems that you're dealing with, it's like if you could learn to deal with that on your own, and you could find a solution. Well, guess how good your relationship is when that person that you're with does almost the same thing, that they could take care of themselves, and they're okay with that, and they let you know, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling very good right now. I need a little bit of some time. It's not about you, but guess what? I'll be back. I'll be back. Just give me some time. I need to think, right? And as long as you let them, that's communication, right? You communicate with them. You let them know. And so, yeah, you know, cheers to being human, right? Cheers to being human. Let's talk about letting go. Letting go. Since we do more to avoid pain and to gain pleasure, in this case, letting go means revisiting the past, right? Letting go means revisiting the past. So we avoid the pain of revisiting the past because that's the thing that's kind of holding us back. And just like this quote, as we are revisiting the past. That's some of our shadows that we need to approach, because reason why we don't approach it is because it relives in us. Like, as silly as it sounds, I really didn't like Michael Jackson's Thriller. I hated it because every single time I heard that song, it reminded me so much of, like my brothers doing what they did to scare the living shit out of me, right? When Michael Jackson turned into that werewolf, it wasn't. I was young, okay, so I was a kid and I didn't like it. As I got older, I keep hearing that song and I hated the beginning of the song where it's like creaking doors, right? It kicks in, right? But I knew, hey, you know what? You like Michael Jackson, Mitchell. You're a grown ass man now. You can listen to him. So I fucking love it. Do I not look at Michael Jackson and that video sometimes and be like, damn, that still reminds me of that day? A little bit, but it's not gonna run me now. And to a point is, shit, I might even do that Thriller dance. You know what I mean? I can learn it. But hating someone, like I said, right? Fear and hurt imprison the heart. Hating someone doesn't serve you any good. It does not serve you any good. If it causes you to bottle it up inside of you, right? That's kind of like the metaphor of what happens when we squeeze an orange. You get orange juice. What happens when life squeezes you? What comes out, right? And a lot of people is gonna be there to press your buttons, right? And when they keep pressing you and they're pressuring you, what comes out? And that's usually who you are, right? So be aware of that. And if you find yourself like constantly blowing up because you don't like shit happening, well, guess what? That's who you are, right? Unless you find a discipline, you'd be like, damn, you know what? I exploded then. I probably should not have. Let me learn to not explode the next time. And as you continue to do that, guess what? You're going to be better and better. You're going to be more resilient, right? You're going to be more emotionally uh I can't even think of that word right now. But basically, you're going to be more emotionally resilient, and you're going to be emotionally regulated. That's the word. You're going to be more emotionally regulated. So you know when to speak, and you're not just going to react. You're going to be more in a place of responding, because that's discipline, right? You've been in it multiple times. I used to blow up all the time, and now I don't, or I do it less. And if you do still find yourself blowing up, that's okay. We're still human. We're still learning. And when you learn from that, guess what? It's going to be You're going to be a much better company for the people that's going to be around you, right? um and I really like this quote by Nelson Mandela, which is, hating someone is like drinking poison expecting the other person to die from it, right? um and another quote by Robert Frank: by encouraging us to expect the worst in others, it brings out the worst in us. And so I want to talk about this kind of like this world that we're living in right now. This whole like, oh, I don't need a guy. Every man sucks. Or, you get this red pill community where there's like, oh, women are like this. All women are like this. If they didn't, it's like constantly talking. They're constantly talking bad about these people, right? By encouraging us to expect the worst in others. Like, so you get these group of guys that's constantly bombarding or talking shit about other women. We're encouraging other people. Yes, I love them. Yeah, that is right. And I love that quote too. That's why I had to quote it. But it's like, why would you encourage other people instead of trying to work with each other? You know what I mean? And that's why there's certain things where other people are talking about where it's like, I get it. You want what's best for this group of people, but you also have to understand, if you like these other group of people, well, guess what? Then you have to learn how to work with this other group of people. So for me, it's like, not only do I have to work on myself as a person, as a guy, and as a guy, I need to know who I am, right? So I also need to know, I always need to be who I am. You should always be who you are. And what you should be is not important. And what I mean by that is, look, so guess what? If you're a guy and you're a guy that is more masculine, right? You go after, what's masculine energy? Masculine energy is calm. It's not yelling and screaming, right? It's being direct. It's knowing what you want, going after what you want. It means also taking risk, because going after what you want, you're not going to always be successful, right? So taking risk. So maybe it's that girl that you want to approach. Well, you got to risk the chance of being rejected. So that's okay. But guess what? You got to go after what you want. And that's taking the lead. You're taking the lead into the first step. That's masculine energy. So now we're talking about feminine energy. Feminine energy is about bonding, connecting, relationship labels, right? Talking about who are we, who we are, what are we, when should we do this? Like, let the woman do the bonding, right? It doesn't mean that the man doesn't encourage that. Like, he should absolutely encourage her to want to be, do more things. Because if a woman loves you, she wants your attention all the time. She wants you all the time, right? Now, let's take those masculine and feminine energy and apply it to the quote that I just said. You should be who you are, and what you should be is not important. Now, what I mean by that is, most guys, they think like, hey, you know what? If I'm masculine, then what happens when she's masculine? So does that mean I become more feminine? The answer is absolutely no. The reason why you don't want to do that is because then because that's not her natural state. Her natural state, her natural energy is more feminine. Okay? So that means that you need to be masculine 10 out of 10 times. Okay? And when you slip, guess what? You got to refine that center again, right? And not like lose your shit. And that's what most guys do. They lose their shit, right? And they start yelling at her and complaining, right? Like, that's why men who understands women don't argue with them. So understanding what is masculine energy, that is where you should be. And the reason why, especially in guys, I always I point out the guys, because when they vacillate between masculine and feminine energy, that's what causes the woman to not feel safe anymore. It's just like, I'm dating a chick. I'm not even dating the same guy anymore. So it's like, and it's gonna cause her to feel unsafe. She's gonna close up, and not only that, she's going to test you more. And the more she tests you as the guy, and the more you fail, you're not gonna like that very much. So guess what? What happens when life pressures you? Okay, you get mad, you get explosive, then you try to logic and reason, right? And then you know what? When people get desperate, they start to find little tips and tricks. So they go on Google, they go on YouTube, they try to find, how do I get her to like me again? Now that's the wrong approach. I don't teach that. I teach people like, this is what your value is, and this is how you should base off of that. If they're not giving you the time of day, then you take your time somewhere else. That's it. But it's not to manipulate them. You don't you don't do things, tips and tricks on how to manipulate that person into coming back into your life, because that's weakness. I see that as weakness, right? So what I'm saying is, this is a philosophy. What I'm teaching is a philosophy. If things don't go the way that how to get her to like me. No, I'm serious. Like, guys will be like, "Yo, how do I get a girl to like me?" And I was like, "Dude, you got this whole shit wrong." Like, there are certain things that you can do to be more charming, absolutely. But if she doesn't like you already, like, there's not much that you really can do, other than maybe, control the controllables, right? Work out, eat a little bit better, start lifting, right? Be dangerous, be a dangerous person, but be kind. Means that, like, think about it like this, in this perspective. If you're Just because you know how to fight doesn't mean you pick fights. You know what I mean? Like, it means that you don't want people, you know how to defend yourself. You know how to protect your lovers, the people closest to you. But you're not just going to go out there and pick fights, right? So things like that. Let me finish this, because Mitchell's been rambling a little bit. It's fun. This is fun. I miss you guys. But anyways, so if you saw things always as kind of like the worst case scenario, and like I said, by no means am I saying things like you shouldn't look after yourself, but people that view things as worst case scenario, right? Like, seeing the worst in people, what do you think is gonna really come out? You're gonna find it, right? You're gonna be like, look, Tracy, I'm gonna use you as an example, right? Because you're the person that last message, so I'm gonna pick on you. Anyways, if I don't know you, Tracy, right? But if, imagine I'm always kind of like the worst case scenario, blah blah blah. Like, if this happened, and guess what? If I find it, I'm gonna start believing in it, right? And then once I believe in it, I'm going to categorize you as this person now. I'm going to find so what you're really doing is you're setting yourself up for reasons to not liking somebody already. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean that you don't protect yourself. It doesn't mean that you're going to be naive about it. But it's still like, you want to look for the great in people. Same thing for love, right? Like, you can't be in love or love another person if you can't even love yourself. And that's for real. You can't love nobody unless you love yourself, because you don't even know what the hell you want. You don't know, because you're not there. So yes, you got to work there, and it takes time. But once you're in a great place, guess what? You're going to be much more stable. You're going to be much more stable. You're not going to like fluctuate all the time. And that's why it's like, you got to work on things to build you up as a person, build your own character. Okay. And I don't know why I did this. It looks weird. Yeah. So it's how you view life. How you view life, right? Through the lens, like, and are you looking through the lens of pain? Because if you're looking through the lens of pain, and 80% of it is about pain, and you're focusing on bad things happening 80% of the time, what happens when the 20% of good things happen? It's gonna get overlooked. You're not gonna be like, yeah, but things still suck. Shit, And so that's why it's like, when someone gives you a compliment, thank you. I like your hair, thank you. Yeah, I like your outfit, thank you. Right? And you be, I like yours too. I like yours too. Don't say if you don't mean it. But like, yeah, I really like the red really looks good on you. Every time you wear red, I have to spend at least like 2 to 3 seconds longer staring at you, and it's a compliment, okay? It's a compliment. Don't act like it's creepy. No, it's not. Right? Chevelin definitely my first. Okay. How's everything? So let's see what else do I have. Okay, Jim Rohn. Life is about discipline. We all must suffer from one or two pains. Number one, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The differences between discipline is discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. So Jim Rohn, if you guys haven't heard of him already, I talked about him a million times. Highly encourage you guys read his books, look at his quotes, listen to his YouTube. He has a 2-hour video. Like that video is it's almost life changing, and I watched it multiple times. And the reason why is because you don't collect. I mean, it's a 2-hour speech. You know what I mean? Like, how much can your body, your brain could retain, right? So that's why I encourage you guys. If you guys do have time, and you guys want to work on yourself, and you have some time, and you want to be in a much better place, you just got to, one, trust the process, but two, spend time listening to it, because he knows what he's talking about. Okay, he knows what he's talking about. And letting go. I want to talk about letting go. Letting go isn't just about letting go of others. It's about allowing yourself to love yourself again. Not Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn. So Jim and Rohn. I don't know who Jim Rohn is though. He sounds like a sports guy. Last one. So fear and hurt imprison the heart, which is last slide is you start questioning yourself instead of asking yourself questions, right? So it becomes very dangerous when you start questioning yourself. You're like, my ability, am I ever gonna find love, right? You start questioning yourself, like, are you even, what makes you think you're going to go out there and find someone that loves you? Because you ain't shit, right? So you start questioning your abilities. Can you do that? No, I'm weak. I don't know anything about love. Well, start somewhere. Start educating yourself. Start applying those, because it doesn't matter how much you know if you don't apply it. Once you apply it, you're gonna be in a much better place. Okay? But learn it, educate yourself, and then apply it. So really, like, what are you doing? Are you questioning yourself? Or are you asking yourself questions, or asking yourself quality questions, right? And Jackie, don't get me wrong, like, us as humans, the reason why we question ourselves is because of safety, where we tend to be at a slaves to our own comfort, you know what I mean? And when it comes to that spot, it's like, there are days when I wake up, I'm like, yo, you ain't shit sometimes, but it's like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, dude, shut up, brain, right? And it's like, dude, you good. Like, hey, get out of it. Start your day fresh. Maybe you need a cup of coffee, right? Or maybe you haven't even started your day, you're already tearing it down. It's like, yo, right? So to start with this quote again, which is, walls that keep out disappointment also keeps away happiness. It's like, yeah, we stay comfortable, right? We when we start questioning ourselves, yeah, it's comfortable. It's easier to absolve ourselves some of responsibilities. It's easier to just be like, dude, Mitchell, you ain't shit. Just don't do anything. Yeah, that's a whole lot easier than you know what? Go tackle the world. And guess what? You might fail, but once you fail, you learn. And when you learn, you do that again the next day, right? Most people don't do that. They don't. And so, and here's the thing too. Most people, they say they're happy, right? They say they're happy, but they're really putting up this front. So they're not really living with true alignment to who they are. So they're not really being themselves. And they have to be this fake person. And you know what? That's called cognitive dissonance, right? Where you're not really being who you are. And eventually that starts to eat you up alive inside. Okay. And yeah, most of the time people live rent free in your mind too. So it's like, are you maybe that person that you were with, and you start questioning all these things, like questioning your ability to select the right people, right? Instead of being like, hey, you know what were some red flags that person possessed that I overlooked because I was blinded by love, or I was infatuated and I overlooked that, right? Because you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So it's like, Yeah. Instead so that's a good quality question. What did I overlook? What were some of the things that I overlooked? Oh, she was in a relationship when I got with her, and then after I got with her, she broke up with him to get with me, right? Overlooking red flags. And what was the red flag? The red flag is if she's willing to cheat on him with you, chances are she's gonna do that same shit to another guy when the excitement goes down, right? That's just a fact. That's like you just gotta remember you're not that special, okay? As long as you're okay with living like that, then life would be so much easier. People feel like they have to put themselves at this higher pedestal and they're more than another person. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like in reality, we're like ants. There's a lot of us, okay? There's 7, if not 8 billion of us already. We're not that special. We're not, okay? And but we us as humans, we tend to strive for importance, which is one of our basic human needs, one of the 6. And it's like, yeah, being important is really important. That's why social media is so popular, right? That's why having a big following, it's like, oh shit, you have a good following. It's like I've seen Kanye West, okay? I'm sorry to point you out. But he needs help. That boy needs help. Okay? He's rich. He has a platform to talk. Um he had some cool shoes, some designs. But I'm saying, like, look, someone like that, just because you have a great following, it doesn't he tried to run for president, man. Like if he became president, the world would collapse, all right? At least our economy, right? Not to get all political and stuff, but yeah, it's like just because you have a great following, you have, I don't know, 50,000, 100, whatever, it doesn't make you more than another person. I've seen people with no social media and they are fucking brilliant, all right? So, um yeah, let's go back. So think about it. You know, are you questioning yourself or are you asking yourself quality questions? You are what you think about. Um, like I said, there's going to be times whereas am I ever going to find love and become um better or bitter, or will I find what's aligned with me, the person that aligns with me, acts in alignment, and then I could be better, right? Acting in alignment as the same goals and same values. Um, no one can love you if you can't love yourself. You must have that first. So, because you wouldn't be good company. You will not. You wouldn't be good company. And other people, they're only going to tolerate you for so much. And then eventually you're going to start seeing them fade away one at a time, one at a time. And then you find yourself constantly trying to play catch up and finding new people. And yeah, it could be a very lonely road. You know what I mean? I'm talking about being lonely, okay? Even with the even when you're out around other people, you can still feel lonely. So if you're hurt and you find it difficult to be yourself, then starting from the beginning is not a horrible choice, and that's okay, right? Rebuild your foundation, you know, um, and you know, so really start asking yourself quality questions, right? Asking yourself questions. How can I become a better person? How can I become less resentful? How can I become less bitter, right? And what are some things that I could do now? So, like I said, find find some time, plan out, write it down. What are some things that I need to work on? If if you find yourself, hey, maybe I could be in better shape, or maybe I could eat better, or maybe my finances isn't where I'm at. There's books for that. Read a book. Invest in if you have money to invest in Netflix, you have money to invest in Audibles or buying a book. It's just depending on where you want to spend your time. And I wouldn't have learned any of this if I didn't learn it one from my coach, which I spent watching on YouTube, and then I bought my book from him on how to be a 3% man. Do I still have it here? Yeah, I do. So this is my coach, how to be a 3% man. Highly encourage you guys to read it because this will help you weed out a lot of people, right? You'd be like, who's this bald Caucasian dude? He doesn't look like he knows anything. You don't know until you read it, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. So highly encourage you guys. And if you're a lady and you're like, how to be a 3% man, it's like, no, this teaches you on how to become a great person, right? How to vet that person. So this brings out the best of the best and brings out the worst of people. This isn't supposed to change a person. You can only change yourself. So I decided that I wanted to change myself, and I decided that I wanted to become a better person, and so I did. And because of that, I picked up this book, and I'm still trying to be this 3% man, right? I don't know what percentage I'm at, but I'm reaching for 3%. And so with that being said, guys, that is the end of the show. Fear and hurt imprison the heart. To recap on a few slides is resentment, bitterness, and revenge. Pain becomes your identity, letting go, and you start questioning yourself instead of asking yourself questions. So be careful where you put your mind. Be careful how you start your day. Be careful with the people you're around, right? Those are all important things to really focus on that we don't place a lot of value in. And just because you're not aware of it, it doesn't mean it's not happening, right? So really be conscious of what are you constantly telling yourself, right? Are you constantly finding being happy, or are you think about the last 7 days? What were some of the things that are going through your mind, right? I didn't have the best thoughts, but I was also like, well, could I find solutions? And I did, and I got out of that little rut, if you will. And sometimes that happens, and that's part of life. And when that does happen, it's like, how can you move forward with that? And if you're a person that could constantly solve problems, I could guarantee you that you're gonna be in a much better place than a lot of people that find themselves always constantly blaming and complaining about other things happening, right? So, if you guys did find this video helpful, hit the like, share it with somebody that may need some help, or if you could help somebody, sharing this knowledge to them. But that's all I have for today, and thank you for your time. And I'll see you guys, what day is today? Tuesday. So I'll see you guys on Saturday. So thank you for your time. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and have a great night. Peace.